look both ways before crossing the road. So this is something that happened a good few years ago. I was on the way home from a night out in Manchester, UK, and made a stop off to get food on the way. Safe to say I was very drunk at the time. While on the way home, I crossed a road and didn't really think to look before crossing because it was so late. As I was crossing, I saw a car brake out of the corner of my eye. But my younger drunk self was too stupid or confident to respond, so I kept walking in a "I'm walking here" type manner. Incredibly stupid, I know. I continued walking down the street, and the guy who was driving that car pulled down his window and started yelling at me. Understandably, because I had been very stupid. But again, I was young, drunk, and clearly had 0 brain cells at the time. So I just ignored him and walked while he drove slowly next to me and just yelled various comments. At first I thought he was just going to shout a few more things and drive off. That's what usually happens. People get angry, they say something, and then they move on. But he didn't move on. He kept driving beside me, matching my pace exactly, like he had all the time in the world. The engine stayed low, barely above idle, and every few seconds he would tap the accelerator, just enough to keep the car rolling next to me. I could hear the tires crunching slowly over the road, and it made the whole situation feel even more tense because everything else around us was so quiet. There weren't any other cars passing, no people walking, just the sound of his voice and that engine creeping along beside me. He kept saying things I couldn't fully understand at first, mumbling, then shouting, then laughing under his breath like he was talking to himself more than to me. I remember one thing he said clearly. He said, "You think you can just walk out in front of people like that?" I didn't answer. I just kept walking. I figured if I didn't react, he'd get bored. But instead, he leaned farther out the window. His arm was hanging over the door, and I could see the way his fingers were tapping against the side of the car, like he was getting more worked up the longer I ignored him. That's when I finally turned and said, "Sorry, just quick." Just enough to end the situation. But the second I said it, his expression changed. He stopped yelling, stopped talking, just stared at me for a second. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, not even an angry one. Just this weird, slow grin like something clicked in his head. That's when he said something I couldn't understand. It sounded like he said he was going to spider me. I still don't know what he actually meant, but the way he said it made my chest tighten up. It sounded like a threat, even if the word didn't make sense. He drove ahead of me and slammed the brakes. The car stopped in the middle of the road, blocking my path. For a second, I thought he was just trying to scare me. Then I saw his door open. That's when everything in my body just reacted without thinking. I turned and ran. I didn't even look where I was going. I just ran straight down the street as fast as I could. The bag of food was swinging in my hand, hitting my leg every step, and I dropped it without even thinking. I could hear the car door slam behind me. Then the engine revved again. He didn't chase me on foot. He got back in the car. That scared me more than anything, because now he could get ahead of me whenever he wanted. I sprinted toward the corner where I knew the hotel was. My legs felt heavy from the alcohol, and my breathing was already out of control, but I didn't slow down. I could hear the car again behind me, speeding up, then slowing down, like he was deciding what to do next. For a second, I thought he was going to hit me. I could hear the engine getting louder, then quieter, then louder again, like he was playing with the speed just to stay close. I didn't look back. I was too scared that if I saw him right behind me, I'd freeze. Up ahead, the traffic lights turned red. For a split second, I thought maybe that would stop him. Maybe he'd get stuck there. Maybe he'd give up. But I didn't wait to find out. I turned the corner and ran straight for the hotel entrance. The automatic doors slid open and I practically fell inside. The bright lights hit me all at once, and I realized how hard I was breathing. My hands were shaking so bad I had to grab the counter just to stay standing. The guy at the desk looked up like he thought I was drunk, which, to be fair, I was, but he could tell something was wrong. I tried to explain what happened, but the words were coming out too fast. All I could get out at first was, "There's a guy outside. He followed me. I think he's trying to hurt me." The receptionist called for security right away. The guard came out from the back room, and the second he saw my face, he stopped joking around. He asked me where the car was, what it looked like, what the driver looked like. I tried to explain, but my head was still spinning from the run. He went outside to check while I stood there watching the doors, half expecting the guy to come walking in after me. Every second felt longer than it should have. The lobby was quiet except for the humming from the lights and the sound of my breathing trying to slow down. After a minute, the guard came back in. He said there was a car parked down the road with the headlights on. He couldn't tell if it was the same one, but he didn't like the look of it. He told me to stay inside for a while just in case. So I sat down on one of the chairs near the entrance, still shaking, still trying to figure out how something so small turned into something that scary. The longer I sat there, the more sober I started to feel. And the more sober I felt, the worse it got. Because I realized how easily that could have gone differently if I'd walked slower, if I'd argued back, if I hadn't run when I did, if that hotel hadn't been right there. After about 20 minutes, the guard went back outside. When he came back in, he said the car was gone. He told me I could stay longer if I wanted, but I just wanted to get back to my flat. It was only about a 5-minute walk, but that walk felt longer than the entire night. Every sound behind me made me turn around. Every car that drove past made my heart start racing again. I kept expecting to see headlights slow down next to me or hear an engine creeping along behind me like before. Nothing happened. I made it back, locked the door, sat on the floor for a while just staring at nothing. It took a long time for the shaking to stop. For months after that, I couldn't walk down that road without feeling on edge. Even during the day, even when there were people around. I never saw the guy again, but sometimes when I'm out late at night and a car slows down near me, I still feel that same feeling in my chest, like something bad is about to happen. All because one night I didn't bother to look both ways before crossing the road, and the wrong person decided to stop instead of driving past. It reached a point where I just yelled back that I was sorry because reality finally sunk in and knew it was a silly thing to do and thought an apology would be enough to leave me alone. The only thing I can assume is that with me apologizing made him sense some kind of submissiveness because he started sounding more violent. And the only thing I could make out was that he was going to spider me. It doesn't make sense, so I'm sure he said something else, but that's all I could make out. But as soon as I heard that he sped ahead a little and stopped, I knew he was going to get out of his car and accost me or something. Fight or flight instantly kicked in, and I started sprinting down the road, dropping my bag of food because I swing my arms when I really run, and didn't want greasy food and a can of drink hitting me in the face. After him stopping, he started speeding up again, which confirmed my thought that he was going to get out of his car to do whatever. I don't want to think what. I knew there was a hotel right around the corner at the end of this road. I was sprinting down, so my plan was to go there. There was also traffic lights at that corner I was going to take, and I just saw the lights go red as I was reaching it, thinking that at least if he didn't get me, he'd get done for speeding those lights, if nothing else, if he was serious about getting to me. But I don't know if he stopped because I was too focused on getting into the hotel, at which I probably looked like a madman running into a hotel close to tears and hyperventilating, saying a man was going to spider me. The guy at the reception thankfully heard me out, and the late night security guy went out to have a look and told me that there was, in fact, a car parked nearby with the lights on, and just in case it was him to stay put for a while. After about 15 to 20 minutes or so, he said the car had gone, but I waited a bit longer just to be sure. My uni flat was only 5 minutes walk away, so I was relatively confident I could make it there safe, assuming the guy had actually left. Thankfully, I made it back safe. Didn't see anything suspicious, and as soon as I made it back to my room, I just broke down in tears at the thoughts of what could have happened. It's so obvious that that guy wasn't still there, but it took me months to feel comfortable walking down that road again. Moral of the story: always look both ways before you cross the road. You might be hit by a car, or the car might stop and do something worse.